Hi, thank you for joining us today for our show. I'm Glenda Adkisson with the American Red Cross, and joining me today is Heidi Cox, our new Health and Safety Director. Heidi is relatively new. She's been with the chapter for about 6 months. And Heidi, thank you so much for joining us today and being with us. I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the things that interest you and maybe some of the reasons why you came to join the American Red Cross here in Paducah.
I moved recently within the year to Paducah and was looking for something more than just a job to fill the hours, something with a purpose, and the Red Cross fit that desire. Because I have a background in teaching and I have a background with the media, having owned a newspaper for 10 years and working in the medical field, this was a natural fit for me. Health and safety, I can instruct in CPR courses, I can do some marketing, get the message out of the American Red Cross, and because I'm familiar with the medical field, it was a nice dovetail into all three of the things I've done in my past. So that's why I worked in this area.
Well, I know that at the chapter we are so excited to have you there, and so many things are going on at the chapter. There are a lot of new things going on and a lot of programs that we've had in place before, but now we just seem to have a spark of enthusiasm because we've strengthened a lot of our programs. Can you maybe share a little bit about the importance of the health and safety program? Of course, we have disaster services. We've got the health and safety and military services, but often people don't know everything that is involved in the health and safety program and all the things that we have to offer and why we offer those things. Can you share a little bit concerning those things?
Sure. The Red Cross was primarily started for disaster services or responding to emergencies. What they found and what we find is that it's hard to respond to emergencies when you're afraid to act, and that's why the health and safety programs were designed by the American Red Cross, because once you know about how to give care, you're much more likely to give care, you're much more likely to respond, not just in accidents that you see, but especially in the workplace. And with the advent of OSHA guidelines, they encourage workplaces and recommend to workplaces that they have medical personnel or access to medical personnel or have individuals trained in being able to respond within a short period of time to any kind of emergency situation at their workplace. This is also true, though, for the individual, especially in times of disaster, but at any times. It's more likely that an individual will be the first responder in terms of a disaster situation. The EMS system will be overwhelmed, and it'll be your neighbor who's trapped or hurt, is cut, and you will need to act. And if you've been trained, a lot of that information will come back and you will be able to respond. So that was the design of the health and safety programs. We offer programs both in the workplace to train individuals in the workplace in CPR, first aid, bloodborne pathogens, and we offer products in the workplace. If you use another carrier to provide your health and safety, we offer first aid kits that are OSHA compliant. We offer burn and eye wash products that are readily available, can be hung right where the emergency is most likely to happen. And they're all OSHA compliant. So that's a big emphasis, is workplace safety. It also adds the benefit that when you're trained in the workplace, you're more likely to respond outside the workplace to neighbors, to passerbyers that you see in an accident situation. So that's the thrust of our health and safety programs. The advantage of the Red Cross providing those programs is that it also is a way for the chapter to have money to actually operate the disaster programs. So while we're not a profit organization, the funds raised through our health and safety programs benefit the local community in providing disaster relief, military services, which are of no charge to the community.
Well, and one thing that you said that I think is so important for people to understand is the fact that certainly disaster services with Red Cross provides help to people and assistance in the situation of an emergency. We can go out, say someone's had a home fire, those kinds of things. We go out, we deliver disaster services to clients. But if there's something like a tornado, you're exactly right. It's probably your next door neighbor that will be pulling rubble off of you, or it may be you that has to help your next door neighbor and get them out of the rubble, because often those things, if it's a large scale disaster, those things have to be left up to the citizens for at least the first few minutes, because your emergency management has so many calls. They've got so many things going on, and that's so important. And you're right. The little bit of revenue that is raised through health and safety is something that allows us to respond to those disasters too. And there's quite a few programs that we have, and I know that we have spokespeople throughout the country that and throughout the world that tell us a lot about health and safety.
Peyton Manning is currently the Red Cross spokesman for our health and safety programs and for the American Red Cross. And he gives a great introduction to some of the services the Red Cross provides, as well as an introduction to an actual CPR class. And it's an encouraging thing to know that a person of that prominence is supporting our mission.
Hello, I'm Peyton Manning. For years, I've admired the American Red Cross for the wonderful work they do across the country and around the world. 24 hours a day, Red Cross volunteers and employees are committed to making our homes, workplaces, and communities safer and healthier. They show us how to prepare for emergencies from hurricanes to heart attacks. They teach us to swim and to save lives. They respond immediately to provide food, shelter, and comfort when lives are disrupted by natural disasters. And they supply more than half of our nation's blood supply. They help families communicate emergency messages to soldiers far from home. And as a member of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, they provide support for health programs and emergency responses around the globe. None of this would be possible, of course, without donations from our neighbors and friends, and they couldn't do it without you. The Red Cross is an amazing organization, and I'm so glad to have the opportunity to be a part of it through this important training program. Today, you're going to learn skills that could help you save the life of a family member, a coworker, a friend, or a neighbor. Taking this course will help prepare you to respond to many kinds of emergencies. Thank you for participating and doing your part to make our homes, workplaces, and communities safer and healthier.
Ultimately, that is what the health and safety programs of the American Red Cross are about. Helping your community, helping your neighbors, helping your family. Both respond in times of emergency, but also something as simple as knowing what to do when a child gets injured, knowing what to do when you find somebody unconscious in front of you, and knowing how to respond in a safe manner to any kind of emergency you find yourself in. We have different levels of CPR and first aid courses, and the basic one would be the adult CPR AED. Our chapter happens to package our programs with adult, infant, and child CPR and AED together. The importance of applying an AED within the first few minutes of a cardiac arrest, it increases the chance of someone suffering from a heart attack or a cardiac arrest 10% for each minute that the help is given. Mm-hmm. So you'll see automatic external defibrillators in more businesses. I know Walmart has automatic external the AED. I know that I think West Kentucky, the college has it. You'll see it in schools. And so that training, in addition to CPR, is really valuable to the community. There's a comfort factor in knowing exactly what this machine will do. So that's our basic program. After that, we also have what's called a professional response or a professional responder program that is designed for the student who's going into nursing. It's designed for your firefighter, police officer, someone who needs more training, more specific areas in giving help. So that's also offered at the chapter, or it's offered in your workplace. I know the Paducah Fire Department uses our professional responder. We have several instructors that are firemen.
Now, do we solely go out to the workplace and do the programs for them? Tell me how that works in the workplace.
We have three options. We can have the classes at our facility. You can schedule a time at our facility and we can actually gear it to your workplace. We have instructors that will take our mannequins, our supplies, and take them out to your workplace and do the program. Or as in the case of a workplace that has different shifts, wants to train different people at different times, we offer instructor classes. So an instructor will actually be trained from your workplace who can then teach Red Cross programs at the workplace. That's at your convenience. They can order supplies through the Red Cross. They can rent our mannequins, or they can purchase their own mannequins. But that gives them the flexibility to offer those courses any time of the day to any number of students that they want to offer it to. And it processes all of those cards through our office and gives them the certification they need to be both OSHA compliant and to be just trained in that course.
Certainly these organizations that have 3 shifts, it's difficult if someone's working the night shift to get them into a class during the daytime. So those authorized providers make it so much easier if they need to teach a CPR first aid class at 3 in the morning. I guess Correct. They can do that too if they have someone on staff that's trained as an instructor.
The benefit of that too is as you get new employees, it's
Right.
made available to every new employee or to those that will especially be in high-risk areas. We do have an instructor course coming up, and generally speaking, we offer instructor courses about every other month. It's a commitment for the instructor because the course is about 20 hours. But when they finish that course, they are fully able to both teach CPR and do the administrative work necessary to get those cards processed, to get those individuals up to speed in offering CPR and first aid.
Right. You know, recently, Heidi, we had, unfortunately, we've had some drownings, and sometimes you hear about drownings, especially during the summertime. And it is heartbreaking when people are caught up. You know, maybe it's a time where it's a holiday and people are together. It should be a joyous and fun event, but if people are in the water and they're not safe, maybe there's not a qualified lifeguard around, it really can put people at risk. And I know that through health and safety, you do an awful lot to educate the community on water safety and helping as far as lifeguard training and those aquatics programs. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Our aquatics programs are offered right now as an authorized provider situation. We trained, I believe, 5 instructors in lifeguarding. This allowed us to offer far more courses through Brooks Pool. Wendy Snyder is the director of Brooks Pool, and she offers the lifeguarding courses there. I believe we've also had 5 lifeguarding courses and trained approximately 50 guards. So that increases the amount of guards available both for the public pools, the country club pools, and even Venture River or some of the camps. I know one of the Girl Scout camps uses one of our guards. The advantage of that is you know they have their training, you know our instructors won't pass them unless they can demonstrate that they can both rescue a life, apply CPR, work on applying oxygen, doing anything necessary to bring that person who is essentially drowned back to life. And I know that that's not something we want to see. That's not something we want a young person to have to be in that position. But we know these individuals that have gone through our training and our program are more than capable of providing that service to the community. So that's encouraging, and I know Brooks Pool both provided space for our lifeguard instructor training and does all of the lifeguarding classes there, which will be year-round now that we have some instructors in the area. So we'll be able to train college students at home when they come home for holidays. We'll be able to train more frequently in those spring months when students in high school are deciding what they want to do for a summer job.
Well, and speaking of summer jobs, it's nice to be able to train young people in health and safety, and it becomes a lifetime habit of just being informed and educated as far as health and safety is concerned. And another area that we are helping with young people is in babysitting. You know, certainly around the summertime, people are out doing more. They have babysitters around the holidays. We always have a lot of people that are needing babysitters, and you never know when an emergency might happen. So it's really nice to have someone well trained. Tell me about some of the new things that we have going on as far as our babysitter training.
Our babysitter training by the National Red Cross just underwent a revamping. It added some additional first aid. It also added some additional or newer techniques for young girls on how to take care of infants and children. The beauty of that babysitting training is it's not geared just to first aid. It's not geared to giving CPR to infants. What it's geared to is knowing how to manage children, knowing to prevent accidents from happening, knowing how to care for a child, change a child's diaper, feed a child, what signs to watch for in case you may have somebody that has a fever or may need keeping toys off the floor that are inappropriate or too small for the different age groups. So it really is a full course designed to, I would say, give a babysitter confidence, but also give a parent confidence that this person that they've just entrusted their most precious little being to is going to be taken care of. They're not going to lose their temper. They're not going to be unaware of the dangers in a home, such as hanging cords, something as simple as that, cords where children can reach, or pots that have their handles over the stove. Simple things, but things that most teenagers may not even think of, take for granted.
Well, and you know, when you mentioned that about losing their temper, you know, one thing that is so common is if a person is maybe a little insecure in what they are doing, their stress level is higher.
Exactly.
And when a babysitter is trained and they know what to do, they've already thought through this process of, okay, how do I need to handle a situation if a child is doing this, or if this is the environment, what do I need to do? They come in with so much more confidence, and then it really sets them up to communicate and deal with those children in a much better way. One thing that we do not have in place yet, but you have maybe mentioned working toward, is a babysitter boot camp. Tell us about that concept and your thoughts there.
We are hoping to get that started next summer, early in the summer, to benefit babysitters. And it would be more than a one-day program. We haven't decided how long. We haven't decided if we're going to co-opt that with just a sports boot camp. So we would have something available for students that could make use of their early summer days to be prepared to actually take care of children. Or in the case of the boys, we'd move it more into the wilderness. That wouldn't exclude girls from taking the wilderness training, but since that's been an emphasis this year, something we've gotten off the ground this year, the wilderness training, we would incorporate into this babysitting or student boot camp.
Now, the wilderness training is brand new, and I know that so many people within our chapter and those people that are taking this course are very enthusiastic about it. In fact, some of our volunteers are hikers and love the outdoors. And of course, recently we had a disc toss, and if you have been out to Stuart Nelson Park, you feel like you're in a wilderness. But the wilderness training is such an advantage to people whenever help is not readily handy and isn't going to be there real quickly. tell us a little bit more, because I have not yet had the opportunity to participate in that program.
The wilderness program is really dear to my heart since I'm a hiker and I like being outdoors. The course actually is designed for even people who live in rural areas. And if you're in a situation where help is going to be delayed at least 30 minutes, it is a course that will prepare you how to deal with emergencies. It is designed, it has 3 textbooks that it uses. It's a 16-hour course. This next course we're offering will be in the fall, and it will actually be on site. We'll actually camp overnight, and it will be one of the last weekends in October. It is designed to not just how to make an assessment, not just how to apply first aid, but especially first aid in wilderness situations, which is hypothermia, which is falls, which is carrying someone out when you need to move them, which is also assessing the situation. If you have bad weather, things like that, how to make shelters, some orienteering. If you are lost in the wilderness, you're going to need to find your way out. You're going to need to leave a trail back to the person that you may have had to leave. So it's a beautiful program. It was designed with the Boy Scouts in mind when they go off to venture, high adventure situations or camps. So it is something we've added, something we hope grows with Land Between the Lakes nearby. Our wilderness training will actually be in Shawnee National Forest, remote area. A lot of the people around here use that. So we're hoping it will grow.
Well, are there other programs that, or new things that we've gotten started? I know one thing that has made our courses so much more convenient for people is that they're on a regular schedule now. You don't have to, there's not a lot of guesswork in our courses because they're every month, every second Saturday. Can you tell us a little bit about the scheduling that we've done and some of the other new things, or if there are other things within the health and safety coming around?
As I said, the instructor course we're trying to offer every other month. That has a flexible date. But our CPR AED courses, we package them together, adult, infant, child, AED, and we offer those the second Saturday of every month. We offer them in conjunction with first aid. So on the second Saturday of every month, the class can go from 9 to 3:30 if you include first aid. If you just need the CPR portion, it would be 9 to 1. We offer CPR also the third Monday of every month that evening, and it goes from 6 to 10. You can also take first aid in conjunction, and that'll be offered the following Tuesday, which it usually runs a shorter length of time from 6 to about 8:30. So those two are written in stone. They're every month. There is no guesswork. Now we have professional rescue. That's offered about once a month, and there you'll have to call the chapter for the availability of the instructor. We have just started a CPR recertification course for those individuals who get CPR every year, and need a shorter version. We also open it to challenge courses. If you can't take a class, but you've had CPR, think you can test out of it, think you can demonstrate those skills, you can schedule it with the office, and we'll meet you there and give you a challenge course. If you pass it, it's a one-time test. If you pass it, you've earned your CPR for another year. It doesn't cost you as much. It's a good way to keep your certification current if you don't have time, or if you've maybe not, your certification's about to expire and you've passed dates for the courses.
Well, and you mentioned the 1 year. I know that there are organizations that will certify people for 2 years, and the Red Cross consistently has stuck with the 1 year. Can you tell me why?
Most of the training in CPR is such that you're not going to use it every day. And to remember something you learned a year ago, it probably isn't going to happen. You're probably not going to feel confident. You may know that the compressions now are 30 and 2, which has just changed recently in the last 2 years. You may know that, but you may not feel comfortable. And any skill that you do not use on a regular basis, there is such a drop off in memory that in order for somebody right off the street, not in the medical profession, that may not be using it every day, it's just a good idea.
Well, and I certainly appreciate the fact that the Red Cross has done the research and they've tested people through the years, because it's been up for debate for many years now, and they've made the decision that whether that's a popular decision or not,
Correct.
that it is best. And so I think that speaks well to the goal of the American Red Cross, and that goal is to really make a difference with those people that are in need.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, certainly the health and safety program is something that prepares our community. As I've mentioned, the disaster services is something that responds to emergencies. This is also part of that preparing to help prevent disaster situations, because if you know first aid, sometimes it may not go into a disaster type situation, or people can help respond to that. Some other things that we're doing in the community is we have a program coming up in the very near future that we're very excited about, which is a continuity of operation planning for businesses. This is something that we've not ever been able to offer the community before, and this is targeted for businesses. And of course, this gives them a plan so that if their place of work, say for example, was hit by a tornado, how do they keep operating? So that's important. It's also important that if they had employees there, that your health and safety program that's gotten them trained in CPR, first aid, then those people know how to respond. What else would you say to people as far as if they're interested, what kinds of things could they do, and how do they get in touch with you and get things scheduled?
It is very easy to contact the chapter, and we have a wealth of instructors who have 10, 15, and 20 years in the field teaching these courses. It's easy to schedule with us. It's easy to register with us. So those kinds of things, going ahead and taking that first step, going ahead and saying, I want to be trained, I want to know, is probably the most that you need to do. Once you call the chapter, we can walk through any procedure. If it's for a small workplace, we're the place for you. We're not going to require any more than 6 in a class. So we're really flexible. We try and respond to any need. And again, it's about a community. It's not just you. It's about a community being prepared in every situation and feeling comfortable, knowing what to do. That's the mission of the Red Cross response. And if you can prepare for that, if you can feel comfortable about it, if you can even prevent, which is a big mission for us, preventing accidents and things from happening, we're ready to go.
Well, Heidi, thank you so much for sharing what's new with health and safety at the American Red Cross. And thank you for joining us today for our show. And I hope you've learned a little bit about the health and safety program. We'd love to share more with you about what is coming up, whether it's the continuity of operation planning for businesses, or the OSHA meeting your OSHA requirements in health and safety, CPR, first aid training. Please give us a call, and we want to thank you again for supporting your local American Red Cross.